Over 150 countries are expected to participate in the 2023 World Environment Day celebration today, Monday, the 5th of June of 2023. And this year World Environmental Day comes with a powerful theme: beat plastic pollution. In a reminder that people's action on plastic pollution matters and a way of focusing on solution to plastic pollution. Reports reveal that more than 400 million tons of plastic is produced every year, and half of which is designed to be used only once. Of that, less than 10% is recycled. An estimated 19 to 23 million tons end up in lakes, rivers, and seas. Today, plastic clogs are majorly landfillers, leaches into our rivers in Nigeria, and is also burnt as toxic smoke, making it one of the greatest threats to our nation. Apart from this year's theme and awareness, the question is how serious is Nigerian government when it comes to the issues of the environment, and how really aware are Nigerians to the environmental issues, with oil spillage and bunkering activities and the resultant degradation of the ecosystem in the Niger Delta region, to the blocking and also destruction of water channels and the resultant flooding as experienced last year and more to come this year, to the deforestation and also desert look of the northern region. Indeed, Nigeria has its own huge share of environmental issues, hence a need for us to look at it. And this is what we'll be having as a big one on the big story for today, as we join the rest of the world to celebrate World Environment Day today. And that is what we're having as a major focus today on the big story. And we're talking about World Environment Day 2023, protecting Nigerians' ecosystem, is what we're having as a major discourse today on the big story. Well, like I stated earlier, every June the 5th, every year, is a day for us to celebrate World Environment Day, and today is no different. And judging that we are among the 150 countries that have signed to also celebrate it, it's only important we do likewise. And to help us talk about this, it's going to be a robust one, talking about the theme and all that concerns the environment today on the big story. We have no other person but Mr. Victor Sunji. He is a member of the Nigerian Environmental Society, joining us to talk about this. Good morning, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. It's a pleasure.
Okay, well, and later I'll be joined via Zoom all the way from Port Harcourt with no other person but Mr. Fineface, Dunamani Fineface, and also an environmental activist, help us look at some major other issues. Now, let me quickly come to you, Mr. Victor Sunji. And we know since 1974, when the World Environmental Day was established, it has grown to, in every way, become more of a significant platform for raising awareness, and also in a way driving environmental changes, including policy shift and all of that. And also it helps in increased public participation. So on the show today, we're going to look at the range of issues that are affecting us as it concerns the environment. But I want us to first start with rather this year's theme of the World Environment Day, and that is beat plastic pollution, which I know is more of a global issue, with almost 400 million tons of plastic produced every year, with more than that half number never recycled. But my question is it much of a problem in Nigeria? And should we be more concerned about it as the rest of the world is?
Thank you very much. You laid a fantastic background. Well, let me chip in some things.
Yeah, go ahead.
The record is 430 million tons of waste.
Ooh, 30 more million.
Yes, 430 million tons of waste are produced, of plastics are produced every year. And the UN reports that 2/3 of that are not recyclable, are not recycled.
So you can't
recycle
them?
They are what we call single-use plastics, and those are the ones that cause the biggest menace to our environment and environmental life. So in Nigeria here, just like the rest of the world, plastic pollution is a very big challenge. In fact, the UN describes it as the biggest environmental concern. And
at the moment?
Yes, at the moment. And it is also interesting to note that this year's topic is just one of the two themes that have been repeated.
Okay.
The first and inaugural theme, which is Only One Earth, actually the World Environment Day started in 1973.
Okay.
An outcome of a meeting, a conference held in Stockholm, Sweden, in 1972. 6 months later, the General Assembly of the United Nations decided to commemorate the significant milestone which they achieved in the meeting from June 5 to 16, 1972. Then by 1973, the World Environment Day kicked off. And the World Environment Day, as at today, is the biggest environmental outreach program, which is one of the 16 programs that environmental practitioners and enthusiasts, I use the word enthusiasts to accommodate people who are in the process of becoming practitioners and who are lovers of the environment, must celebrate every year. So plastic pollution is a very big menace to us.
So here in Nigeria?
Everywhere in the world.
Okay.
Everywhere in the world. Okay. Note that less than 10% of these are recycled.
Yeah.
So what happens to the other 90% that are unrecycled? And if you also remember that plastics are not biodegradable, or in a manner of speaking, are biodegradable over a very long time, between 200 to 1,000 years. You can imagine what would be the outcome of the plastic you've wrongly disposed today. If God blesses you with 100 years,
you're going to say just half of the lifespan
if God blesses you with 100 years, blesses your child with 100 years, blesses your grandchild with 100 years, you can imagine that the plastic you wrongly disposed today is going to outlive 5 of your generations. So that is how sensitive the topic is.
Okay, now, but let's stick with Nigeria, because Nigeria is expected to generate about 2.5 million tons of plastic waste annually. And the situation is likely going to worsen as our population will definitely grow from 220 million this year to be expected to be about 401 million in 2050, according to a United Nations report. But I want us to come home, and I mean Delta State. Now, is plastic pollution also a concern to us in Delta State? Because that's where our primary assignment is.
We in Nigeria, everything that affects Nigeria affects us in Delta State. Delta State is...
So how really serious is the problem here in Delta State?
I'll give you statistics.
Okay.
Although it's difficult to get statistics for Delta State, but let me also chip in that the Federal Ministry of Environment says we generate 32 million tons of waste, municipal solid waste. Plastic waste actually fall under what we call municipal solid waste. So we generate 32 million tons annually. Lagos State accounts for about 15% of this.
That's the population.
Yes, post of population. Then if we prorata that figure to Delta State, you see that we're generating about 1.5 million wastes.
Which is also a large number.
Very, very huge concern. Ask yourself where these wastes are disposed, how they are managed. We do not have any designated collection points for plastic management. And the peculiarity of plastic waste demands that you do not just dispose it anyhow. There are means of disposing it. So in Delta State, it is still a very huge concern, and we should, as a matter of environmental urgency, begin to look at measures to address and tackle past.
Talking about looking at means and measures, are you saying that the Delta State government has not engaged other critical stakeholders that concerns this very problem?
I wouldn't speak for the Delta State government, but I will tell you what we try to do as an NGO or a full-fledged professional association.
As a concern.
As a concern. So we try to sensitize the public and deepen awareness through outreach programs. We also involve the state government, and to the best of my knowledge, they cooperate every time you invite them. But I feel...
Is it only in seminars you invite them and that cooperation? I'm talking about full-fledged commitment in dealing with the problems.
That's a matter of policy, Mr. Michael. That's a matter of policy, Mr. Michael. And I will not speak on behalf of the government. They should defend themselves on that. But what I will tell you is that as an NGO, Nigerian Environmental Society, which I'm here to represent, we deepen awareness. We sensitize. Even in about 30 minutes or 45 minutes from now, we are carrying out a clean-out exercise.
Okay.
In clean-up exercise, rather, in Ubwangwe Market. I should be there by 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'll still be with you because I'm still a bit curious, and you not fault me for being a bit curious.
No,
I really want to understand how really harmful is this plastic waste, not just to human, but the environment. Let's really understand it, because many persons will feel we're just talking because we have it. But really, how really harmful is this to man and the environment itself?
Very harmful, Mr. Mike. Very, very harmful. Okay. Delta State is a peculiar state. It's a coastal state, right?
Yes.
Yes. And remember, most of these wastes are thrown into canals, water bodies, and all of that.
Which is
every
normal,
water body is interconnected.
Of course.
Every water body is interconnected. So these wastes find their way to the Atlantic Ocean, causing both local and coastal problems to citizens. What are the kind of problems it causes? Health, for instance. Okay. Our aquatic lives are threatened. Fishes. A report says 1 in 3 fishes caught today contains plastic. There are 3 classifications of these plastics. There is the micro, there is the macro, and there is the mega. The most critical one is even the micro, the ones you can barely see, up to 2 mm, 5 mm. In fact, a frightening report says even human beings have up to 50,000 consumption of microplastics.
Just because of the aquatic life?
Yes, just because of the aquatic life, and even these plastics that are poorly disposed on the environment that somehow find its way, the particles get into the fishes and all of that. The fishes are not sensitive enough to sieve, and they don't have the mechanism to also sieve what they eat. So they eat these fishes, and remember, we belong to the food chain.
Food chain. Yeah. So
when the fishes eat the plastic, we eat the fishes, we're indirectly eating the plastic. So Delta State is Delta State, like most other coastal states, are of critical concern.
So that's for the health of the human.
Yes.
Let's come to the environment and itself. Okay. So how much of a problem is this to the environment?
It's
because you made mention of it going straight into the Atlantic Ocean and all of that. So how much of an issue is that to us in Delta State? Because I'm really concerned to see where we lie, and especially the dangers we intend to face with such pollution.
The consequences or the costs of these are not peculiar to Delta State alone. I'll give you a general overview. Please. Like I said, plastics are not biodegradable.
So they don't break down.
In common lapala, they decompose.
Yes.
So everything we eat comes from agriculture.
Of course it does.
So these plastics find their way into the soil, disrupt the pH value of the soil, disrupt our food production process, disrupt our agricultural production process, disrupts everything about the ecosystem. So plastics are a general menace.
Well, anyway, in case you're watching and listening to us, it's Quest today, and we're taking a critical look at, we're really celebrating the World Environment Day 2023 with a theme, Beat Plastic Pollution, which you agree with me that it's becoming more of a challenge, and not just only Nigeria, but to the world itself, and hence the celebration today, and that is talking about June 5th. And the world feels it's time we really look at this problem, judging by the menace it is really causing, knowing that it does not break down in local terms, and hence the need for us to look at it. And that's why we're looking at this today, and we're looking at it critically. But as much as we're looking at the issue of plastic pollution, we'll also be looking at other environmental issues as it concerns us as a people, especially right here in Delta State. But I still have no other person but Mr. Victor Sunji. He's a member of the Nigerian Environmental Society, helping out with the discussion. Now, sir, let's look at other means, especially as we bring in the government in dealing with these issues. Let's look at some recommendations. But I'm really, really curious to also know how far the government has gone on this. I know recently a call was made to the government to ban styrofoam, which is a brand name for a light use, a breakable form of plastic. And we know this styrofoam is used in making food containers and contains containers that prevent food and liquid from changing temperature and also to protect delicate objects inside containers.
Shock absorber.
A call, yes, the federal government has not heeded to. But I also do know that the federal government has also committed itself to a whole lot of environmental issues. I could still remember the Paris Agreement, which we're signatory to in 2021. So it's more like a step towards that. But my question is, what has the Nigerian government done towards combating these challenges? Because it's more of a concern that you've raised. And let's not only narrow it down to Delta State, but look at it in a more holistic approach, especially coming from the federal government. Do you feel the federal government understands the magnitude of this very problem? And have you seen any move, either by policy change, either by straight action, dealing with this problem from the government?
In simple terms, I have not.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that was a straight answer.
Yes, in simple terms, I have not. But what I will tell you is that it's a very complex and complicated issue, because if you have to exert the full weight of the law or the powers of the government on plastic, which has become an indispensable, I'll call it an indispensable element in our everyday livelihood. You'll be causing a lot of anarchy. We are yet to even deal with removal of subsidy, and you want to ban plastic or styrofoam. Okay. Styrofoam, let me even give you a bit info.
Because that seems to be even more of a challenge, more of a concern for more Nigerians than any other form of plastic. Why?
Yes, styrofoam is what, like you said, delicate, used in preserving. It's called local shock absorber. It's used to prevent delicate objects in packaging so that they don't break when they don't damage, get damaged when they come in contact with heavy objects.
It's more like a protection for some of these appliances.
A protection for that. Yes, almost everything you buy, except
an amount of styrofoam.
But I'm also commend phone makers. Now they don't use styrofoam. They use find a way to use inflated papers to cushion that.
But it's also a challenge.
Yes, it's also a challenge. But I do not have records of the quantity of styrofoam manufactured in Nigeria. Okay. What I know is that plastics, on the other hand, if you have to ban plastics, like some countries, South Korea, for instance, has banned the use of disposable bags.
Okay.
Yes. So what the government, I expect or I propose that they do is they also look at the way of South Korea, ban the use of disposable bags. One.
But that would not have an economic impact on the livelihood of those that are distributed in selling them and also circulating them. Because government will always want to look at that first.
Our life expectancy is 55 years. Are you aware?
That I do.
Good. Life expectancy is 55 years. Infant mortality rate is 7.5%. We should 7.4, not even 7.5. We should be more concerned on being alive than making money. Okay? So our recommendations are usually around the 3R: recycle, reduce, recycle, or reuse. What I expect the government to do as a matter of policy is to summon manufacturers of single-use plastic. What are single-use plastics? All items, all plastics gotten from items that you are not expected to use again. Water, drinks, I will not call names, sachet water, drinks, and all of that. Government should, as a matter of policy, invite these manufacturers and get them to commit to a plastic waste management scheme or plan, where these same manufacturers, through the same channels which they distribute their products, recollect them, or what I call buyback policy. They can incentivize the recollection of these materials. Okay. There is no...
So rather than going to buy again, you recycle and...
Yes, you recycle through the same channel.
Through the amount already in circulation.
Yes. Let me give you an instance. every sachet water company I know, or okay, let me not say every, most of them that I know have delivery trucks.
Of course they do.
Yes. Even the bottled waters, the PET bottles, they all have delivery trucks. They have delivery vans. Most of them, gone are days when we go to their companies to even buy. Most of them supply. Yes. Why can't they still collect those materials through the same channels? They should be able to collect those materials. In fact, if possible, incentivize this collection. Somebody in faraway Borno State is at a private sector level is buying each of these PET bottles at 2 naira.
So you want the market value of it. Of returning.
Yes. Every day, if you stand on this road, every day you see trucks carrying huge pressed. There's even one in Afisere.
And there's one close by to us.
Yes, there's one close by to us here too. So the government should try as much as they can to encourage these people and call the manufacturers, encourage these persons who are doing this collection, because I do not think they are working for the companies, the manufacturing companies. But the government should, as a matter of policy, call the manufacturers to commit to that plastic waste management plan. That will help us reduce our plastic pollution footprint in Nigeria. Thank you.
And you feel is just the best way for us to do it?
That's about the best way, because if you collect them, the company themselves will even spend less trying to buy raw materials to reproduce. So take for instance,
it's more like a win-win for everybody.
Perfect. Take for instance, the company sells a bottle of water for 100 naira, for instance, and they buys it back from you at 2 naira, or even 5 naira, or at any price at all, or even incentivize you and tells you, okay, if you're able to return 500 bags, we'll give you a certain, they create a reward, create a reward system. Then if you find out that they won't be producing, you won't be adding more to the environment, because as it stands now, we may not be able to take away, but we should stop adding. That is my proposition on this.
Well, anyway, I'll need you to add to that as we look at other recommendations. But for now, let's quickly go on a break. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion as we celebrate World Environment Day 2023 with the theme Beat Plastic Pollution. But we're not just going to talk about plastic alone. Judging that we're having a whole lot of other issues as it concerns the environment, we'll be also looking at key sectors, or rather key issues and challenges like the issue of flooding and also oil spill that also become more of a problem, especially to the Niger Delta. Let's go on a break.